Welcome to Fantasy Smack Talk. I'm Dustin, and this is another Fantasy Football University video. If you haven't checked out our app yet, Fantasy Football University, click the link in the card or in the description, figure out how to download it. It's anything and all fantasy football to help you win your championship. It's for all skill levels. Check it out. Thank you to Fantasy Jocks for sponsoring this video series. In this series, we're taking very small snippets out of the app, giving you some information, letting you know what type of information is in the app. This video, we're talking about scouting quarterbacks, what to consider, finding the quarterback's going to help best help your team win. Depending on your league settings can play a big factor as well. Let's talk about one of the main things to consider about quarterback. That's pocket versus rushing quarterback. So this is kind of two of the big categories in terms of what quarterbacks are out there. Pocket quarterbacks typically throw for more yards. Rushing quarterbacks typically rush for more yards. So depending on your league settings, it can be a very big difference in terms of what quarterback you want to target. If you get a point for every 20 passing yards in your league, that's a very pass-heavy league setting. You want pocket quarterbacks, they typically throw for more yards. Rushing quarterbacks, if it's a 6-point passing touchdown league, they don't have quite as much value, but if it's a 4-point passing touchdown league and you got a rushing quarterback that can rush for 10 rushing touchdowns, they get a nice little bump because they're getting 6 points for all those rushing touchdowns. So something to consider is points per yards, and then the points per touchdown can definitely play a factor when considering pocket versus rushing quarterbacks and which ones might have more value in your league. Offensive system is another thing to consider. Long story short with this one, there's more information in the app. Is it a pass-heavy offense or is it a run-heavy offense? A lot of this comes down to the offensive coordinator, so you can do some research, figure out what that offensive coordinator typically likes to do. What type of running back talent do they have? Does it really seem like they're just going to really try to pound the ball and not have to pass it unless they're playing from behind? So just keep an eye on the offensive system. You can kind of get a good feel before the season on which way you think they're going to lean with that offense. Arsenal of weapons is a big one. It doesn't matter how good your quarterback is if he doesn't have talent around him to help keep them out on the field, score touchdowns, put points up on the board. We're not just talking about wide receivers and tight ends. You need good running backs to help take pressure off the passing game. The best offenses are very well-rounded, so you need a good arsenal of weapons to have a decent quarterback in fantasy world. Offensive line talent's another thing to consider, but this one is kind of tricky. It's kind of hard to predict, but a couple of things you can look at. How many sacks did the offensive line get up the year before? Did they address any issues in the draft or free agency? So there are a couple of things you can look at just to kind of get a prediction on how well the offensive line is going to do. Team success definitely plays a factor at the quarterback position, but you have to look a little further into what their record might be. One of the worst things you can do is draft a quarterback on a team that has a really good defense and a good run game, because they might not ask that quarterback to do that much. But my favorite situation is a quarterback on a great offense that has a bad defense, because that typically means a lot of shootouts. But don't necessarily rule out quarterbacks on bad teams, because sometimes they're playing from behind in the second half and you're getting a lot of junk yards. So that can be a decent situation for you fantasy-wise, but that can be harder to predict. Rookies at the quarterback position, it used to be something that you wanted to avoid, but they have kind of come on a little bit. So don't rule them out, but it's very rare that a rookie quarterback has top 10 fantasy value. So it's really kind of more keeper dynasty leagues, or if you're in a league where you can start 2 quarterbacks. But typically, 1 quarterback leagues, you're not really thinking about rookies that much. And then when you look at age, when you look at other positions like running back, you really got to start getting worried about them once they get past 30. But the quarterback position, especially with pocket quarterbacks, they can play at a high level in their mid to high 30s. So once they get past 35, you have to at least start thinking about it, but don't completely rule them out because of their age. They're not like running backs. They can be in the league a lot longer. So that's scouting quarterbacks. Big thanks to Fantasy Jocks, boom, for sponsoring these videos. If you don't have a trophy, a belt, loser prizes, just anything to get more excitement in your league, check them out. Download our app, subscribe to this channel. We're on Instagram now. Go ahead and follow us on there. Leave a comment. Check out all our other university videos. Get on our website.